Not yet. Not yet. Now we can go there.
Now we can go.
Leave the sock. You can put the sock over here. Excuse my sock. This is not mine, though. This is my little boy's, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. You can definitely tell you're at
Hello, sir.
SneakerCon.
How are you, sir?
How are
was
you?
SneakerCon. How are you?
Good.
I brought you in today because you are probably one of the most interesting guys that I know. When I first met you, I didn't even know what you did. And do you remember when we used to meet at the radio station? You would come in.
Yeah.
I'm like, who's this guy? Like, he's someone's agent.
So I remember the first time we ever met. I was actually working at the bike shop.
Okay.
And we had that big car show at AutoNation Ford. And remember that blue motorcycle?
Was it when the Camaro came out?
You and Rex sat on?
The choppers.
That's what it was the first time we ever
Really?
met. That was 100 years
back
ago.
up. So where did those motorcycles come from? I remember those motorcycles. They were
So,
beautiful, blue,
yeah.
like 13 feet long.
Yeah, I worked for Ron Peck. He owns Jaw Dropping Customs.
Oh.
And I worked for him for...
Ron down the street, the one that used to be...
That was Big Ron. That was his dad.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't
Which
know
was
that.
crazy because now I'm...
Right across
I'm
the street.
Catty corner, so...
So what did you used to do there?
I painted.
Yeah?
We built pretty much everything, but yeah, my main job was paint and all the graphics.
See, I never knew how that started off when you... Because, okay, so you have what business?
Premier Wraps.
And what do y'all do there?
Our main business, of course, is vehicle wraps. We do a little bit of signs, a little bit of stuff like that, but wraps is pretty much our
When you say
bread and
wraps,
butter.
is it like when it's Christmas time and
Yeah,
mom gets...
or chicken wraps. We make burritos and chicken wraps.
When mom gets Timmy a nice little Mercedes and put a bow on top, you mean wraps like what?
I am really good at Christmas wrapping, though.
Really?
It's surprisingly, my wife makes me wrap everything. But
I'm sure when you have attention to detail.
oh yeah, you know, perfect tape, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, no vehicle wraps. If you see any kind of advertising on there, of course, Pepsi, Everest Water, Sunrise
so like
Vending,
the big like trucks, right?
big
I'm
trucks.
actually naive. I know what you do.
Yeah, and then of course the custom stuff. So any of the color changes, any of the the satins, the everybody likes satin black, satin dark gray, all that kind of stuff.
My wife's
And
talking about a flat green.
Mil-
What is that color?
Matte
Is it
military
olive?
green.
Oh, okay,
Yep.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
She was calling it olive. I'm like, I don't know if it's olive.
Yeah, no.
Maybe it's a Pinterest color. I
That's a
think it's
paint color.
Yeah, I think it's more military.
Yeah, you go to Sherwin-Williams for olive.
So the reason I said when we first met, I didn't know what you did because I always saw you kind of like having your hands in different things.
Mm-hmm.
And you're definitely one of those people where I feel like you have your hands in different things all the time. And that's why I brought you in here, of course, to talk about the different events you put on throughout the year. So y'all had a little bit of a break, of course, like everybody else during 2020 and then 2021, now 2022 and 23. Y'all are all back full steam, right? All events?
We got lucky on our events. I can't remember the whole pandemic timeline, right? But our event's in February.
Okay.
So I think that first year, I don't even know if we did the banquet yet. So, but the Hot Rod Run still continued. So we missed it by a month, I think, is what, because
think it was
March is when the
March.
shutdown was.
That's when like all the different festivals started to shut down, basketball shut down. So y'all must have just
Yeah,
missed it.
so we got March, no problem at all. So that's our Hobbs Hot Rod Run. That's our big one. We normally have anywhere from 100 to 140 cars that go on that run. That's what's
All kinds,
our claim
right?
to fame, right?
Yeah.
That's what's gotten us where we're at today.
Someone's like, I saw that one day. There was just
Yeah.
all these badass vehicles just driving down. I don't know what is.
Yeah, and so that's what started all for us.
And that's the one that's
And,
coming up in a week or two, right?
February 18th
Okay.
is when that
So
one
explain
is.
what the Hobbs Hot Run is and when it starts.
So it's basically, we started it one year for David Hobbs' birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And we just were all muscle car guys. We all had cars. And we wanted something to do. So everybody has a car show, which car shows are great, but that's not my cup of tea anymore. You know what I mean? I like
wanna see 'em moving.
I want to see them moving. I don't want to stand there and answer questions all day about. And then you have my dad used to have one just like that. Well, I don't think it was just like it, but
Maybe a little
I
bit.
get what you're coming from. and we just kind of wanted to do something, keep it active, keep it going, and moving spots and all that kind of stuff. So I come from the motorcycle world, and David, he's helped out with jet boats for years and years. So they did poker runs basically in jet boats, and I did poker runs with Harleys. We said, we can do this with a car. It's not a new idea, but we just kind of made it our own.
So for a poker
And,
run that anybody's never done that, what does that mean?
So 5-card poker run is our Hobbs Hot Rod Run. That's our main one. So it's 5 cards, 5 stops, and each stop you go to, you pick a card. We punch your poker hand, and best hand wins.
So that's just like a little part of it, but y'all are also
Little
doing
part of
other
it.
stuff
Oh
too,
yeah,
right?
that's how it started out, and of course it got bigger after that. But that first year we did it, and I think we raised like $600 for the winner. And so we went to hand it to the guy, and he's like, "No, man, donate it to charity."
Oh, that's cool.
And we're like, "It's a good idea." So I think 2 or 3 weeks later, coming up, was the telethon for Driscoll Children's Hospital.
That's huge.
And it's giant. And it was kind of one of those things like, we all had kids, and it was kind of one of those things. It was near and dear to our heart, but we didn't really know what we were getting into just yet. So it was like, all right, cool. Well, to go show off the cars, we'll take it over there and we'll go drop a check off. We walked in, and it was a production. Yeah. And, I mean, you're talking about people who are donating hundreds of thousands of dollars and people who are donating hundreds of dollars. And for us, walking in and handing that check to them, and they appreciate it like somebody was giving them $100,000.
Yeah.
And we're giving them $600. And I thought, this is pretty neat. So David and I talked about it, and let's have it again. So I think the next year we raised like $1,200.
Well, let's have it again, letting people know, hey, look, this is where the money's going to go. It kind of happened by happenstance the first time.
Exactly.
Right? Do you remember who that was that won the first time?
I don't.
Did they still come out?
And they are. They're still on the run.
So you recognize the face, but you still don't remember
the car.
Oh, the car.
That's how you know people.
That's like me with houses. Like,
exactly.
I know people, and I've helped a lot of people. I'm very fortunate. But there's sometimes like it doesn't click until I can picture the house, and then I'm like, oh, I know who you are.
I know you.
You live on Savoy. Like,
yeah. See, I'm even Superman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody knows that. Yeah. So
what kind of car was it? What do you have?
He actually had a Camaro.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people have 69 Camaros, and he was one of the few that year that had 69 Camaros. Now that we have 140 cars, there's a lot of that show up that are Camaros, Corvettes, Mustangs. Those are our
I think car
main
shows
cars.
car shows or just car events are really fun, especially for people that you see people that come out. You wouldn't expect them either because there's a lot of like hidden car fans, either because maybe they had a relative or a brother or a mom or a dad that had a car. So for them, it isn't so much that they love the car. Maybe they remember the memories that someone else in their life had.
Exactly.
So when they go and see it, like, oh, my dad or my uncle had a car like this.
Yeah. And it's cool because you automatically have common ground with that person.
Sure.
The car
like Jeep people. You're a Jeep people?
You're a Jeeper. You got to wave and you got to do the
it's
thing.
Like it's a cult. Dude.
It's a cult. Yes, exactly. And it just kind of what we wanted to do was kind of build this culture and open up. Basically, I came from, like I said, the motorcycle world, but I got involved with the Ronald McDonald House charity. It's called. I went blank here for a second.
It's Ronald's house, right?
No, the one that it benefited, or they benefited it, was the Terry Labonte Roam for Home Ride.
Okay.
I was really young. I was working for Ron, and Ron Peck, Sr., he was a big part of the Terry Labonte ride. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, Dave Resendez from Apollo Towing, all these guys that, we all hung around and ate breakfast every morning together. And one year, they said, hey, we need some help on this thing. Can you go? And I said, sure. And so me and Ron, Big Ron, Little Ronnie, we all went on this thing, and it was so cool to see all these guys that had done well for themselves, very successful in business and all this kind of stuff, and raise almost $1 million in a night.
Whoa.
And, I'm probably 19, 20 at the time, because I remember turning 21 several years into this, being on there. And I thought, man, how are these guys doing this? What moves them to want to do this? So it was kind of set into me pretty early in life, but it never clicked that it was in there, And so once it came to where we could do it, then each year it started getting bigger and bigger for our own charity. And I think about 2015, I believe is when it was, I thought, man, we really have something here. Let's go try to find some sponsors. Mm-hmm. So we went out, and we got Arnold Oil was one of our big sponsors, and they wrote a $5,000 check. And I said, oh, my gosh. Like, wow.
Awesome.
This is game changer, And so years went by, and I think for our 10-year, I wanted to end with a concert. And so our 10-year, we ended with a concert, and we made a little bit more money. So I think we donated it was somewhere around the 30,000 range.
That's just.
It was crazy to me.
Like you said, it started off with just a $600. Just we kind of piled in together. To give it away. We didn't even know we were gonna give it away. It was given away to somebody.
It was gonna go to somewhere. It could have been the Salvation Army bucket. But we just found
more zeros to that.
Exactly.
And everyone's having fun. It is, like you said, it is crazy as I've gotten older and I look back when I was younger, dudes are doing different events or galas or just different things. And you're like, how are they doing this? And it just takes a village of people to come together and go, hey, look, we're going to give back to pick your charity. And there's so many great ones out there.
There is.
I know a lot of people right now are doing stuff. Christmas is over, and so everyone's kind of going to that season of like, all right, let's start going back to the grind. Let's go back to work. But also at the same time, like, how can we give back?
Exactly. So we did that 30,000 that year. And I'm always...
Because y'all do the big check?
Oh, yeah, we do. Yeah, of course. I print a big old check.
I got a big check around somewhere. Oh,
yeah. And So it was kind of one of those things, how do I make it bigger? How do I make it better every single year? So it's funny because David and I make a pretty good team on this stuff, because I always compare it to I'm the wild dog and he's the one on the leash reining me back, because I'm always how do we make it bigger? How do we make it better? How do we raise more money? And it's
when you
always
said you had a concert. Do you remember who came out? Was
Stoney
it
LaRue.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Actually, our first one, we did it as just added entertainment, right? And we had I forget the band, but he's here from Corpus, real good guy. And it was just added entertainment at the end of it. And I thought, man, we can make this an event. We can do something more with this. So we ended at Brewster's. Shayberg helped us out and got Stoney in. And I think we did 30,000, somewhere around in there. And again, it was still at the back of my mind. We can do more than this. These guys are raising $1 million. How do we get a quarter of it? 10%, something. So that next year, David and I really sat down and talked about it, and we said, man, we got to have a banquet. This is where the money's at, is banquet. But I don't want to have a normal banquet and have the same things, and I'm not knocking anybody else's banquet by any means, but I don't want the little things. I want these big items that people can't go and just purchase. It's an experience.
What are you thinking?
VIP, it's got to be something exclusive. So one of the big things we do, besides a rap from Premier Raps, we do guitars signed by,
Awesome.
Aaron Watts has done one, Stoney's done one, Randy Rogers, and then I throw in a VIP table.
These are for like raffle items, right?
All
Okay.
auction items. And so we started just coming up with stuff like that. I'm a big bourbon guy, so we throw some pretty big bottles of bourbon in there, custom guns, Rolexes, welding machines. I mean, anything you can think of that a manly man wants, we threw in there. And then I started thinking, well, people buy for kids and people buy for wives.
Sure.
So then Louis Vuitton purses and Christian Louboutin shoes and all this kind of
Don't
stuff.
forget Stanley
So-
Cups. It's all about Stanley Cups.
Stanley Cups now this year. And and Yeti's always been a big deal for us too. We do a big Yeti collection, all that kind of stuff. But I just thought, and then I also thought, well, if we get stuck with all these items, well, it's stuff we kind of want anyways.
Yeah. Oops.
So, but our first year out, man, we had a huge success, and we got to donate $100,000.
Well, so when you said a banquet, y'all had like a little
We-
a dinner, or what did y'all have?
Full sit-down dinner. We sold tables. We had, let's see who performed on that one. Bart Crow
Cool.
performed. Steve Trevino, the comedian, performed.
Awesome.
He was also the host, and Rex Gabriel was
I
the
didn't
host
remember
for
that,
us. And they did great on the auction items. It was just a wonderful, magical night, right? So I knew the next one had to be even bigger and even better and all that kind of stuff.
Isn't that hard?
It's I don't think people realize how hard it is to outdo yourself every single time and not put on the exact same event.
I think for anybody
that's the hard part.
that runs a business or runs a charity and has those intentions of like, hey, next year I would like to be just a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
It's like, it's exhausting
It
to
is.
think about it, especially when you're finishing an
Yeah.
event. And for most people that throw events, right after you're done, it's like people that run people that throw beach to bay. It's like
Oh, yeah.
the moment they finish, they're starting the next
Starting
year.
the next year.
Either by booking events or booking the different venues or just getting the people
Oh, yeah.
secured. And I'm sure you feel the same way. It's like a year-long thing, almost like throwing a wedding, and then you have this big party, and it's like, whew, we're done.
And we do 4 events throughout the year.
Yeah, so so the one coming up on the 18th of February, which is the Hot Rod Run, that's the biggest one,
That's
right?
that's the big hot rod run.
Because I don't think I've ever actually had my car in my possession while you've had that event. I've always
Nope.
had it in the shop or just different things. So I've never actually go. I'm really excited about going to this
Yeah.
one. I'm bringing the team. I'm bringing the kids are big enough to actually ride in the car.
Oh, yeah,
and
that's
not
the
be
fun
in a car
part.
seat. So they're like
Yeah.
super excited to be cruising around this whole time and see all the different things going on. So what's happening on the 18th?
So this one, like I said, is the big hot rod run. So we start Brewster Southside.
Which is right around the corner.
Right around
Holly
the corner.
Tables. Okay.
Yep. Get there in the morning. Of course, we have our kind of driver's meeting. We have a prayer. Make sure everybody knows, hey,
Awesome.
stay safe.
Yeah.
Don't be silly.
Yeah, 'cause there's some cool cars that do some cool things.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, you're trying to just cruise.
And that was going back to people doing car shows as opposed to hot rod runs. There's a lot of cars in this town that people have no clue are here. And there's giant car
They're hidden.
collections that
Yeah.
people don't know about either. There's people here with probably lots of people have 10 car collections, but there's several that have 40.
You say 10 cars or
10,
10? Okay.
10 cars. But there's a lot of them have 40 or 50 cars in their collection.
Where do they keep them?
Buildings
give
all over the
secrets.
place. Buildings all over the place. We'll say
There's
that.
like secret garages.
Yeah,
and places.
exactly. And really high-end, beautiful cars. One guy in particular, Mr. Herlick, he's one, and actually Ron Peck built his car, and he's got multiple of them. He's got Corvettes and Mustangs, all that kind of stuff. But upper $100,000 cars. And that's the one time he brings them out.
Yeah.
He's like, man, I can show this thing off. I can drive it around. I can enjoy it. And it's almost an event that they look forward to every single year. And then, of course, he's won the car show a few times because we kind of put a car show within ours. And he loves it. He's like, it was all worth it.
So this one, 18th, is a car show or it's a run? Kind of both.
This one is a full-blown hot rod run. Just for added fun, we do our own little car show within it. Each stop, basically, kind of eliminate some cars, and we let each venue kind of pick people out on, oh, that's a cool car, that's that kind of stuff. And then at the end, it's people's choice.
Okay.
So all the people who are at the event get to, kind of vote and all that kind of stuff.
When you go out and you see these cars, like you said, that are hidden, because it's always fun when you're driving around town, it's a beautiful day, and you'll see a random car that you've never seen, and everyone does a thumbs up or the honk, and you're just looking like you said, where's that car parked at all the time? And these aren't dudes that are like running to the grocery store, to Target. Like, they're just going out for the car shows. It stays in the garage all the time.
That's it, yeah.
What's your favorite that you get to see that's always a surprise?
I'm a fair car guy. I like what people have done to the cars. I can appreciate someone's
No matter
work.
what it is.
No matter what it is. I mean, I can appreciate a lowrider. I can appreciate a rat rod, a supercar. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm a 60, 70 muscle car guy. At the same time, I'm a Cadillac and a Lincoln guy.
Cool.
I like the big cars. I like the boats. I like the, I've got, of course, Suburban slam to the ground
heavy.
and all that kind of stuff, big, heavy ones. So I'm kind of fair on what I like and what I don't like. But everybody brings out their own taste, and that's what I kind of like about it, because I'm in that business too. People come in, hey, I want this, and it might not be my cup of tea exactly.
But
and I'm pretty open about what I like and what I don't like when my customers do come in, because somebody's going to ask them where they got it done, and I don't want people like, ooh, Premier did that? So
is that a Hello Kitty wrap?
Yeah, but I don't try to veer them too far off from what they want. So I help refine their vision. That's, I guess, the best thing I do at what I do. And so, yeah, I like seeing people bring their stuff out because they're proud of them.
Sure.
It's a day to show off. It's a day to, man, this is my pride and joy. And a lot of them have stories connected to them. It could have been their dad's car. It could have been their grandpa's car.
Could have been that first car they just worked their ass off for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, exactly. And some of these guys have built these cars from the ground up, themselves in their garage. So it's very easy nowadays, to sink a lot of time and a lot of money into these cars, and to see somebody be so proud of that is pretty cool for me, because I know I'm proud of a lot of things that I do, and a lot of people look at it as, oh, he's bragging or he's showing off. No, man, I'm just proud. It's taken me a long time to get where I'm at.
There's been times where I've shown. So I have, for people that don't know, I have a 1971 Chevelle. Recently was in your shop, and y'all still doing an overhaul on it. And when I first got that vehicle, it didn't look anything like what it looks like now. And at one point, it was taken all apart, where it was a frame and there was nothing on it. And I've shown people the pictures of it, like, this is what it used to look like. And so when you see the finished product, or you see someone doing something at this level, you have to remember, like, it used to look like that. Really ugly all the time. And then sometimes it starts over again. It's like, here we go again. But yeah, that car has a lot of significance, just because me and my dad worked on it, and we stripped the paint, and we stripped the car, and we bagged all the little nuts and all the bolts. And I didn't understand why at first, but you see on these older cars, and you've seen it, where you're like, you can't just go find these screws. You can't just go find these little clips that go on the vinyl cover. Like, you have to really appreciate the fact that people that are going through this, they aren't just going to Amazon. You can't find this stuff.
No, exactly. Hard. You got to hunt. You got to.
That's what makes them so collectible, for one.
Exactly.
And so nice, because people just can't go grab these cars.
Oh, yeah. And that's what, there's several different fields in this world, right? You've got people who've built them. You got people that collect them. And it's almost like the stock market. It's a good investment. They go up and down in value, but they're always going to hold their value at some way. You got 55 Chevys that have had their time and they've climbed and dumped. You've got 69 Camaros that have climbed and dumped, but they always keep that floor of, if you've got a numbers matching 69 Camaro, you've got a $100,000 plus car. Now you got resto mods. You can resto mod that car. Now you got a $200,000 car. And if you do it right and you keep them, and you're going to protect your investment. Mopars, of course, are the Apple. And then you got Chevy, and you got Ford, and you got all the other ones that go underneath it.
Why do you feel Mopar is the Apple?
Man,
explain what you mean by that. Apple, just a...
Mopar is just, they'll always be at the top. They'll always have the most. Now, don't get me wrong. There's shining stars in each big brand, right? You've got Corvette, you've got Camaro, you've got, the 55 Chevys, 56, 57s, all that kind of stuff. Ford, of course, has the Mustang. They've got the Ford GT, which even going into like the 4, 5, and 6, 2004, 2005, 2006 GTs, when those cars came out, I think they were $150,000. Now they're $500,000. So to think even newer cars like that can still be collectible cars. They don't have to be. You don't have to go back to 50 or 60 or 70.
They're just limited editions.
Limited editions.
Supercars, essentially, when they put that out.
Exactly. And at the time, that was holy moly.
What are y'all doing?
It beat the Corvette. It beat all these other kind of crazy cars. And then you have your exotics and all that kind of stuff. So, you always have your tried and trues. But Mopar, for me, they just had so many odd options, odd colors. Especially if you had a Hemi. If you've got a 70 CUDA plum crazy purple with a Hemi 4-speed, you got, $1 million car.
Is that an OEM color? Or
oh, yeah.
Really?
Plum crazy purple is OEM color.
Plum crazy purple.
See,
I can't think of what that looks like.
In the 70, like a plum. I mean, literally like a plum. It's pretty wild color. But in the 70s, they were the funky colors, right? And they were like, I forget what all the other ones are. Lime time
what did
green.
Joe Dirt have?
And he had a...
At the very end. They only showed it at the very end when he finally got out of Hawk.
Was it a Daytona or was it a Super? No, he had a Super Bee or Super Bird. The one with the big wing.
Yeah.
I think it was a Super Bird. It kind of one of those things. So that going to that car, those are $1 million cars as well. Again, depending on the numbers and what motor it came with, what train it came with, what the VIN code was, all that kind of stuff. So, but you have some Corvettes that have ran across Mecum. Guy here in town. Ran his through there, and I think it went for like $3.2 million.
When you say ran through where?
Ran through Mecum in Houston.
Oh, okay. Is that a big auction?
Huge auction. So you got Barrett Jackson, which is the biggest,
yeah.
And then Mecum's right underneath it. And he ran his car $3.2 million.
So when they're running it through there, are they running through there just to praise it, or they
no, they're selling it.
God, it's got to feel so sad.
So I've done mini auctions with a couple of my own cars and, customers' cars, friends, buddies. David Hobbs has ran a few cars, bought a few cars, all that kind of stuff. And it's the most fun, nerve-wracking thing you'll ever do.
Because it's just going so fast, because it's like you're saying goodbye.
Fast-paced. It's how you read in the room is, what's really happening. All of a sudden, you're 50,000, 60, 70, 80. You're like, oh, my gosh.
Are these personal collectors, or is there ever a business that's there trying to auction these vehicles?
Both.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Or writing it off as a business expense, but really?
Some have done that, but you
Really
have some guys, and again, you meet these guys going to these auctions over and over. I did auctions for a long time because it was cool just to go and check them out. It was cool to get away, but you saw so many cars that you'd never see before. Sure. And to me, it was education. And I could go, because at the time, I wasn't going.
When was the first time you went to an auction?
Let's see.
Because this is like a show auction. Like there's auctions here all the time. I used to have a friend that would go to the auctions, buy them off the police lot, and then go fix them up a little bit and then flip them.
Yeah, no, these are all high-end, antique, classic collector cars. You're not going to see a old cop car run through there.
Sure.
You're going to see 69 Camaros. You're going to see the Mustangs. You're going to see the high-end ones. And you can have anywhere from $30,000 cars to $3 million cars. That run through there.
What's a $3 million car?
Depending on what it is, of course, you can get supercars that are $3 million all day long. But like I said, the one Corvette, it was a true, I forget what VIN number or VIN code it had, but I want to say it was L51 or something along those lines. And all numbers matching, had a great story. And the Corvette guys, they're like we said about the Jeep people, it's a cult. Mm-hmm. Corvette guys, it's a cult. And they'll follow those cars for years and years, and they know where it's at, and they know when it's going to come up for sale.
Their own car, you mean? Or just a certain car?
Just somebody else's car. Or parts. Mm-hmm. The parts world behind this is a whole nother business.
So they're like, I need that car just for the parts?
Yeah, pretty much. Or they know, hey, this guy is, this is it. It's almost like bourbon guys, right? Mm-hmm. I got to have that Pappy 23 to complete my collection. Well, somebody might need that Corvette to complete their collection, or a Mustang, or a Camaro, or something along those lines. So it's almost shoe guys, collector. I got to collect these things to have them. So it becomes more valuable to them because of the rarity, and I don't have it.
Maybe what else they have in the
exactly. And when you put emotion in there, that's when the price goes up too.
So I was going to ask you, so when you go to these auctions and you've had, I feel like over the years, you've always had your hands on different cars. Has there ever been a car that you let go that you're like, damn, I still wish I had that particular car?
I'm not a very sentimental guy
Really?
to cars
Never?
by any means.
There's never been one where it's like just
I would
more?
say there's one, maybe two that I wish I could find over again. I don't know if I'd want the exact same one back, but I think it'd be cool
Was
to
it something
have,
you
have
had?
one. I had.
Okay.
So my first car ever was a '69 Camaro.
Okay. That was your
And,
first car
First
ever?
car ever. I was 14. I worked at Kroger's at the time. I lied. I was 14 to get the job. I told them I was 15. And so I saved up enough money. I bought the '69 Camaro. I only drove it a handful of times, but I got to do a bunch of stuff to it.
Did you
which
get a
was
lot
kinda
of
neat.
looks being... Wait, so
And I'm this big.
where'd you grow up at?
So I'm actually from Corpus, but I went to high school in Houston.
Okay, because I say Kroger's. They don't have any Kroger's here.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So I guess last part of middle school and then all my high school I went to.
Where
to
did that car
Houston.
come from?
So I actually found it. My stepdad actually found it. A buddy of his had it, kind of thing, and it was just kind of one of those things. '69 Camaro. I mean, it was like the end all be all. I gotta have one of these things. So I remember going and I think I was getting it painted or something along those lines. And the guy called me and he's like, "Hey, I want to buy this thing from you." And I'm like, "You're painting it? What do you mean?"
I'm paying you.
Yeah, and I'm like, he's like, "Well, don't worry about the bill." I'm like, "Well, I hope not." And he goes, "But I'll give you X for it." And I think at the time it was, $10 grand. I'm 14 years old. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm rich."
How much did you put into it at that point?
Probably $5 grand. So I
Okay.
doubled my money. And then I went out and I bought a '69 F100.
Oh, so you sold it?
Sold it. Oh yeah. Very
While it
young.
was getting painted?
Very young. I automatically knew, hey, this is cool. This is fun. I always wanted the next one. You know, what can I do? And so I bought a '69 F100, and that's the truck.
I don't know what a '69 F100 is.
It's just like an F150, but
Oh,
back
okay.
then they were F100s.
Oh, okay,
It was
yes,
a
I remember.
1969. It was red and white. And that was the one I actually got to drive. That was my first vehicle I really say that I got to drive and go to school in. And that's how I was known. Hey, man, that's the guy with the red and white
You
truck.
never drove the Camaro?
Not to school. I was too young, and I didn't want to get in trouble and then lose the car.
Wait, so you didn't even have a license then?
No.
So was it registered or who was it
Oh
registered?
yeah, registered.
okay.
I just got to drive around the block, and of course my stepdad would take me in it. We'd drive around in it, and we'd go to the car shows. But he got to drive it, so I wasn't known for the car. He was, because he was driving it. So the '69 truck, that was mine. I went to high school in that truck, and it was cool because early on in life, the other kids who had older cars, we all hung out together. So those guys are still my friends to this day, which is kind of cool because we do a guys trip every year, and
Y'all bonded over.
we bonded
that back
over
then?
cars. We had a common ground, and that's just learning all these things. It's still relevant in my life today, and so that's the one I think I'd like to have back.
'69 Camaro.
No, the '69 Ford truck.
Oh, the truck.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said the Camaro.
No. Camaro, I don't know. To me, it wasn't. It was just a car. But the '69 truck, it was. I remember a lot of high school memories in there, girls, parties, and all kinds of stuff. So,
Did you have it all through high school?
all through high school.
So what happened to that one?
I blew the motor in it, and I had a guy who came and bought it from me. Actually, I had him come and look at the motor because I remember I put a 460 big block in it. It was pretty cool. I had my buddy David help me do it in my garage, and I had him come and tune the carburetor. When I blew the motor, I called him back and said, "Hey, I don't know what's wrong with it." And he showed up. He's like, "Whoa, man, yeah, you blew this thing
That
up."
was me when I blew my.
Same thing. I'm like, it just stopped running,
I'm over here by the dump. Help.
And so he bought it from me, and then I went out, and I think I got a motorcycle after that.
See, I never got a chance to have that window to have a motorcycle, either because my parents were like, "No, don't do it," or I was single for a certain amount of time. I just didn't have the money to get one. And
Yeah.
when I got married or I had a kid, it's like, no, you can't do it.
Yeah.
Do you still ride motorcycles now?
Oh yeah. I have a Harley.
Do you have one? Oh, you have
Yep.
one? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I got a bagger, of course, crazy stereo system.
So
and all
going
that
back
kind
to
of
when we
stuff.
first met, and you had those big old choppers. This is the time when like Orange County choppers and like West Coast choppers was a
Exactly.
big thing. Like these things literally were a boat. What happened
yeah.
to those motorcycles? Whose were those?
Ronnie's.
Ronnie's?
So the two blue ones that we had at that show were Ronnie's personal bikes.
Did you ever drive those?
Oh yeah.
Those seem
all the
really
time.
difficult to drive.
And I don't know if you remember back then, I was a very small guy. So I looked like a little kid riding these things around, And we would do shows. We would do biker build-offs. We did 3 biker build-offs in Austin. One was actually on TV, and it was
Where are those
really
bikes
cool.
now? You still have them?
Ronnie still has them.
Those are crazy.
And then after that, we built a lot of bikes, and then kind of as the craze started to dip down, Harley's, baggers, that was the craze. So the big 30-inch wheels, crazy stereo systems, raking them all out, crazy paint jobs, all that kind of stuff. So I kind of got the best of both worlds while I was in that realm. So
Just because I think it's going to be a really crazy answer if you can even ballpark it. How many dream cars or how many cars do you think you've driven?
Ooh, driven.
Because I think most people, I've driven to like 20 cars.
Yeah. I can say I'm very fortunate. I've driven
To be behind the wheel of certain cars that people are like, I've never even seen one.
exactly. I would say hundreds, if not getting close to the thousands. So I had a real good customer, a good buddy of mine. He's got 40 or 50 in his collection alone. And it was cool because I got to be part of the buying process.
That's almost like
with
one
a lot of
every
those
weekend
cars.
if you wanted to.
Exactly.
Like a different car every single weekend.
And how much work goes into just maintaining them.
Sure.
Think about having to go get all those inspected.
Keep them registered.
Keep
yeah.
them registered.
The first thing, as soon as you told me my car was ready, I was like, let me make sure my insurance is
Yeah,
good. Oh, that's the first
insurance,
thing I did.
registration, all the stuff that goes along with it. So, and then of course all the cars that I've got to customize through Premiere, that's been super cool.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a normal truck nowadays is almost $100,000.
It's crazy.
And it's super cool to think, wow, people trust me with these cars, and that's where I pride myself a lot too, because you're not just bringing me your car and we're just putting a decal on it.
It's a baby.
We're pulling your car apart, wrapping it, putting it back together, and you have to trust me to say, hey, here's my 100,000 plus vehicle, and you're going to give it back to me better than what I gave it to you, and everything's going to work.
I think most
it's not going to
people
rattle.
or men would be like, no, take my kid.
Yeah, exactly. So it's one of those things that I've always strived to get that trust in people. And don't get me wrong, you have some people you can never please, but you have some people that you're friends the rest of your life because of you can do one vehicle for them, and you're friends forever.
I think that's why we probably became closer friends over the years, just because I'm like, hey, like you said, I trust this guy.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of people I would trust my car to. For a year. Like literally, you had my car for years. I'm like, hey, my car. Where's your car? I was like, John has it.
Yeah.
Where? I'm like, I don't know. It's over there somewhere.
Like Allstate, you're in good hands, and that's kind of one of those things, I've always had very nice vehicles, even when I was. I chose vehicles over food for a long time.
Really? Like because you eat?
I don't need to eat this week. I would rather have cool vehicles, but it's always kind of been my passion, always been my thing. But I think that's what's always pushed me to put out a good product. And to me, what I drive is my showpiece. Sure. It's like if you go to a home builder's house and they live in a pre-manufactured home. Well, you didn't build this home. You know what I mean? Or you go to the plumber's house and it's leaking water all over the place. Well, he's probably not a very good plumber then. So kind of those things, I've always had nice vehicles, and I know how I want my vehicles to be. So I expect people to value them the same way I do.
Sure.
So I value just like if you brought me your car like you did, I'm going to do it as if it's mine. And if there's something I think, we probably shouldn't do that, I'm going to bring it to you. Just like I told you, we're already here. Let's go ahead and do this, this, and this. Yeah. Oh, you know what? That's smart. Let's go ahead and do it. So people get that trust from me because I'm not trying to, steal anything from them. I'm not trying to, make extra money for them or any of that kind of stuff. I'm giving them what I would put in my own vehicle.
For sure.
So, and I tell people, don't overdo it. Enjoy it. Take the time, build it over time. Because I'm like that too. I'm horrible about. I'll get a vehicle, I'll do it all in 1 week, and then I'm like, well, I'm bored now. What do I do? Like, what else can I do?
Yeah, but you also have your hand on more vehicles than your common person. So a common person gets a car, it's like this is all I got right here. This is it.
Yeah, this is it. And you have that world. You have those people who are instant gratification people like myself, and I have multiple friends who are like that. And what's the next one? Or you have those lifers who get one car, and that's their car for life. And I almost envy those guys sometimes.
I feel like my Chevelle, I would feel like
that's a lifer
it's not
car.
going anywhere.
Yeah.
But I still have two more I want to get.
Definitely the square body.
Trucks, I want to get the square body truck, and then eventually get I really like a Cadillac. I'm thinking like a 5060s, something with some wings or something low. There was one I saw one time at MGM in Vegas, and I took a picture of it and I lost it, but it had like a flat red, like a blood red wrap.
So I guarantee it was Counts Customs who built that car. It was probably on wire wheels.
Maybe.
He's very big in Vegas, and that's kind of his go-to.
It was like in
is
the casino.
Cadillacs. Yeah,
It was
yeah.
awesome.
They park them in there. He builds them for all the casinos.
And it
It's
had the
pretty
old
neat.
school emblem on the front.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
dude. I was like, yeah.
Like I said, I'm a huge Cadillac guy. I love Cadillacs. I remember, and it's going to sound it's a goofy story, but I sold my Cadillac. I think I had a 62, and it was kind of one of those cars I really, really wanted. And I remember, I don't know if I had Premiere already or I was a couple years into Premiere. Kind of one of those things like, I got to sell it because I got to support the business.
Yeah.
I remember doing that a few times. The business has always come first.
Sure.
Once I had Premiere, and it was kind of like, all right, I don't want that car back, but I want another one like it, and I want it better, and all that kind of stuff. And I haven't bought another Cadillac since, but I'll get one at some point in time.
I'm only asking because I recently saw it. What did Elvis have, that pink one? What year was that?
His was probably a 56, 57. His was right before the really big fins
Because in the new
started.
movie, they show a couple different vehicles he had.
So
They show the pink one.
The purple one I thought was the coolest one.
It was in the movie?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if I saw the
purple
one.
with gold wheels, and he actually painted that car. And I want to say that car came white from the factory or something like that. But he sent it back to the factory, had it painted purple, put the gold wheels on.
How
I
did I
thought
miss
that was
that?
the coolest one. And nobody gives that purple car claim
Yeah,
to
because I only
fame.
saw the pink one. I'm trying to think of the movie.
Everybody knows them because of the pink Cadillacs. So
I'll have to look at the purple.
yeah, look at the purple one. It's pretty wild car. But you want a wing car. You want a 59 was the biggest
date
wing.
night car.
Yeah, get a 60. Try to get a bubble top. Where the wings were still there, but they weren't massive. Plus a little bit more affordable. The 59s are just
What do they think
like
they
like
run?
I said. You go to the stock market and you
Yeah.
get the ones that are high price. 59s are high price,
Like
especially if you get $250.
What?
Oh yeah.
No, I'm budgeting to maybe like
a
20 to
junker
30.
you could probably get for about 75 grand.
Oh no, man!
So-
Maybe I'm thinking different ones. I
Yeah.
think like to eBay.
No, any of the big wing cars, they have a huge following. People, Cadillacs.
Yeah.
Always had a big following. Lincoln's always had a big following. JFK cars, of course.
Yeah.
But I say JFK cars.
Is that one's yours, right? The one you have in the shop?
No, that was a buddy of mine.
Oh, it's just there?
Yep. Actually, it's not even there anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he has that car. The
Wasn't
one
it
you're
the other
thinking
day?
of is the Riviera.
Oh, okay.
The satin black all
Yeah, yeah,
Riviera.
yeah.
But yeah, like the Lincolns, those are cool cars. But that had a big span.
Mm-hmm.
So I think those cars were from 62 to 69. Where the Finn cars, they had a short lifespan. So it went 57, 58, 59 was the biggest, 61, 62. I think it trickled off
it
and
stopped.
no more Finns.
Oh, so yeah, that's why they're so expensive.
That's why they're so expensive, because you only had so many years to buy a Finn car. Well, the biggest Finn, of course, is 59, so it's worth the most. And then
But that's the car that Grandma and Grandpa had. They didn't even realize what they had. They just had it.
Exactly.
That was the car to get.
I remember when I was a kid, my grandma drove a Fox Body Mustang, and I had no idea what it was. I just thought she's got this goofy
Cool.
car, and now I'm like, man, my grandma drove a Fox Body Mustang. How cool is that? So
But yeah, these cars are only appreciated after the fact.
after the fact,
Yeah, I feel like now there's so many cars that come out. Like, sadly, I don't think people are going to appreciate the cars that come out now as much. Even just the simple bodies, like a basic Camaro or a basic Mustang. Just different cars that come out where people are like, oh, back then it was a little different.
Yeah. Nowadays we're manufacturing collector cars. We're automatically making it collectors, special editions.
Sure. But there's so many different specials.
So many different special editions, all that kind of stuff. So we're kind of making the collector car. We're not. I don't see I don't see a brand new, Camaro 30, 40 years from now and be like, man, I can't wait to have one of those again.
Maybe the Bumblebee. That's about it.
Exactly, because how are parts going to be available, all that kind of stuff, and can the plastic survive? Like the metal cars do. It's all who knows kind of thing. But like the IROC Z's, who would have ever thought that'd be a collector car? And right now, we're in the prime of all the 80s and 90 cars going through the roof.
Yeah.
Square body truck ran through the other day for $100,000. A square body truck.
But why?
I have a square body
Yeah.
truck.
But why?
And
this particular one. Why
this
so much?
particular one, somebody who had redone it did a very nice job. They, of course, LS swapped the truck. So, of course, it's modern power plant, modern drivetrain, all that kind of stuff. So they resto-modded. They made it a modern version of a square body. But then I think 2 or 3 weeks later, I don't know if it was a Blazer or it was another. I think it was a Blazer. Went for $400,000.
I want to go to one of these things. When's the next one?
It's the most fun you'll have, and then you realize like, man, there's some money out there that I had no idea.
I'm thinking networking.
Yeah.
I got to meet these guys. If they spend that much on a car.
And
how much do they spend on a house?
That's a hidden part of my business that I never really thought about was I get to be around all these guys that have a lot of this, disposable income, and I picked up so much from that. How did you get this disposable income? Yeah, I feel lucky being able to work on these things, but I want to own them as well, and I want them to be mine, or even just flipping them, all that kind of stuff. And that was the cool part of the business that
and I'm sure it's all walks of life, all kinds of people.
Oh man, you've got anybody who's built their own business, or people who are CEOs of giant companies, or people who inherited the money or worked from the ground up. But no matter how you got it, you got it. And
you're keeping it.
And you're keeping it. And how did you keep it? And how did you get it? I like people's backstories. I like to see how they got there.
Well, me too. That's why you're here.
Yeah, exactly. I like the hard knock story, and I also like the guys who I had a good buddy built an oil field company from the ground up, from one pump to he rang the bell in the stock market for hundreds of millions of dollars, and that was super cool to be able to do business with that guy, to build him stuff.
What's been the common thing? And a little bit, I'm about to let you go. I apologize, but what's been the common thing between all the car guys you've ever met? It's like a common denominator between these people, or car girls. I mean, I'm sure there's car
lots of girls as well, and this has always been a male-dominated sport, is what I say. It's cool to really see the women really getting into it nowadays, and to take in, any kind of car, but let's even say some of the square bodies and stuff like that, and all of a sudden they show up with a pink and white one. It's like, hey, that's pretty cool, or a Tiffany blue or something like that.
Sweet.
And neat to see what they're doing with them now. And I think the common denominator with a lot of those people is just drive and determination. No matter what they're doing in life, they're doing it, and they're doing it the way they wanted it to, and they know what they want, and they're going to work for it, and they're going to get it until they get it. And it's just that drive. A lot of people I meet, no matter what
no pun intended.
Yeah, no matter what you do in life, you always wanted to be the best at what you did, and they're doing it, and that's what I think is pretty cool. And that's why I like putting on the hot rod runs and the banquets and all that kind of stuff. And to go back to the hot rod run, like we were talking about, so we start at Brewster's, and then we go to Fun Trackers. We do like a big group picture. Towards the bluff. So each stop you get a card. We punch your poker hand. We go to Stingrays on the island. Stingrays is great.
I'm glad my car's in a shape where I can make it. Again,
another guy that I got to meet through business, Sean, has owned Stingrays for many years. He has 2 Corvettes that hang above the bar.
Oh, really?
One is his personal car, his partner's
I've never been there.
car.
I'm excited to go.
It's neat. The pizza's amazing. He got an amazing pizza oven. And kind of one of those guys. I met him in the bike world. I've done a lot of wraps for him. And then now, of course, the Hot Rod Run goes there. Some years when we can make it. Our parking's a little tight, but we fill up the street.
How long is each little spot? So, like, if people are, let's back up a little bit real quick so we can get it in there. For people that want to participate, guy or girl, you have a vehicle you're proud of, you got to go register. Where do they go to register?
HobbsHotRodRun.com.
Okay. Or you can find you on Facebook, right?
Facebook, yeah. You can either mine, John Frost, Premier Wraps, or David Hobbs. He owns Eagle Machine. We do this together.
I'll put the links as well under the video.
Yeah, and then Hobbs Hot Rod Run CC. And then, of course, we have our HobbsHotRodRun.com, and then our Premier Hobbs Foundation is our actual foundation that puts on all 4 of our events throughout the year. And so that one, then after Stingrays, we're limited to 4 this year. 4 stops. We're going to do 2 poker hands, or 2 cards at 1 stop. That way we can kind of give more time at each stop.
Sure. It's not rushing.
We separated the banquet this year from the Hot Rod Run, so we can have more time at the stops, so we can it's a standalone event now. And like I said, once we started doing the banquets, we raised $100,000, and then $100,000 the next year. And so now we're kind of figuring out how do we break that ceiling. So that's why we separated it. But then we end at Nueces Brewing on the Hot Rod Run, and we'll do awards, and a lot of really cool stuff is going to happen at Nueces. I had a few really big ideas for them, just because they're a brewery. We can incorporate, cans and beers. You've had events there. It's a really cool spot.
Big spot. The water's right there.
Kel's a great guy. That's my thing. I like working with certain people who, one, can keep up with how fast-paced I go. That's hard. and kind of let me run my own show at their own place.
That's the way I found they are too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you know what you're doing. Go for it.
Like dealing with Brewsters and all that kind of stuff. Man, those guys let me have free reign. I go in there, but I don't. I throw a pretty nice event, so another business I've kind of learned is the charity world, but I've learned that I'm really good at throwing a good party.
Good.
So
that's part of it.
Yeah. And so you just kind of learn and progress and all that kind of stuff. So
for people that aren't bringing vehicles, they can still show up, right?
You can still show up. You can enjoy the cars. You can kind of check it out. You can go to each stop. Doesn't matter to us. But when we're driving, it's pretty much all the hot rods.
Awesome.
I'm trying to get a police escort for this year. We haven't had one yet.
Really?
But I think I have 80 pre-registers already. And for
Do I need
Corpus,
to register, or am I just ready?
No, you're already
Okay.
pre-registered. Actually, you're a sponsor. We appreciate your sponsorship.
Okay.
You're on the
Proud
koozies this
to
year.
be.
But out of all the years we've done this is the most pre-registers we've ever
Nice.
had.
Well,
And
it's a walk-up town, so people are
it's
like,
a
hey, you know
walk-up
what?
town. I've learned that through throwing events as well. You've known that for years.
We're like, hey guys, we didn't sell any tickets.
Yeah, we got to sell some tickets. We've sold
Yeah.
10, and then the day of you sell 1,000.
80 already is
the
a
world.
lot.
Yeah.
What's the most you've had so far? What are you expecting?
The most cars we've ever had, I think, was 150.
That's awesome.
And it's nerve-wracking.
I
Think
bet.
about parking
Well,
150
that's why you said police
cars.
escort. I'm like, y'all need it.
Yeah. And
Not
just
only parking 150 cars, parking 150 very delicate people.
Yes.
Are super. Oh, don't touch them. Look at it.
Exactly. And they got to trust you backing them in and putting you in spots, and you got to trust the venue you're going to make sure that they're not going to let
There's
anybody
no jackasses running around.
riffraff or bunch of weirdos touching it and handprints all
This
over the
is
place.
nice.
Yeah, I remember this one. So yeah, it's just I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to see how many people turn up for this one.
Yep.
I'm hoping in the 120, 130 range. I feel real good about controlling that many cars, and
Good.
David feels good about controlling that many cars, and we don't feel too overwhelmed. But you got to think 120 cars, that's 300 plus people. So,
And the families and the friends and everybody else.
and then all the people we have that go with us to help,
Sure.
because we're a two-man show, but day of we have help.
Good.
And I always thank everybody who comes and helps us.
Well, whatever way else, I have some help that day too.
Yeah. And I
whatever
know
way
you're
you
going to
help.
set up at the end and might have y'all help with some awards and stuff like
Whatever it
that.
is, man.
So you get a peek behind the curtain on kind of how this
Good.
stuff's ran and how
Well, Ben,
fun it is.
I'm proud of you, bro. Like, you've done a lot of stuff to become successful, but also at the same time, like we talked about a while ago, finding a way within your craft, within your world, to give back
Yeah.
as well, which I think is kind of the name of the game.
And I think that's the coolest part of all the years of being in business, all that kind of stuff. Everybody asks me, what are you most proud of? And my kids, my wife, of course, 100%. But the business is the business, and I love it to death. But to build the charity has been so much more of a learning curve, and I don't know, it's like your baby, and it's like, wow.
How did I do this? Yeah.
Exactly. And David and I think we're 12 years into it now, or like, how in the world did we get this far into it and this deep into it?
I think it's having big hearts, having a goal, and just knowing you're doing it for the right thing. There's never been a time where people are doing the right thing and it goes wrong. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You're never going to be wrong.
And
Better
you
than
learn
yourself.
the people who feel the same way you do. So our 4 events that we put on, of course, we have the Hobbs Hot Rod Run. We have the Premier Hobbs Banquet. Now we just started Cars and Country, which we do at we did at Concrete Street. But it was basically a big car show and then an all-day music fest.
Awesome.
We had 5 bands, and that was really cool. This past year, we kind of had a little learning curve because it was our first one. And then we do our small run, which is called the Hobbs Invitational. And that's just so we can actually go, David and I, and enjoy ourselves.
Sure.
Because on the big one,
You're working.
you're working. It's a job. So
100%.
that's the cool part, too, is to see kind of how that's grown as well. Because that one, we don't advertise for it as much. We don't go for a bunch of sponsors. Like, I think this one, we have somewhere around 25 sponsors for the big run.
Nice.
On the small one, we limit it to 6. We don't want a bunch of sponsors for it. It's about having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
And but this year we're gonna basically, we've always given to Driscoll Children's Hospital. We did it 2 years ago when we donated the first $100,000. We met with Sean. He's the CEO over there, and it was kind of David and I's idea and Sean's input as well. Instead of just donating $100,000, we actually started an endowment. So we actually have a trust, and we put money into that trust every single year, and it builds interest every single year.
Oh, wow.
So now we have $200,000+ in this trust, and that's our goal is how do we get it to where we're making real money off of this thing? So, for lack of better words, $100,000 in the medical world is not a lot of money.
Sure.
And I don't want to knock $100,000 because that is a lot of money, but it doesn't go as far as if you were building off of it, and the bigger and bigger it gets, then the interest you're making off of it makes changes. Then they can come to us at any point in time and say, hey, oncology wants a new piece of machine. You've got $800,000 in your account. Can we use it for that? That's what we want. The money that's going to make a big difference, a huge difference, you know.
Build a whole new wing.
I asked them if they'd name one after me, and they said if I get to $1 million, I can have a room named after me for a day.
You would deserve it.
One day, though. So we get one good day. But, you know, it's just kind of one of those things we learned as well, you know, doing stuff like that. I've got other buddies who have big charities as well, and they do the same thing. Hey, you know, donate the money, but make sure you're making a difference for them, not just, you know, supplying fruit snacks for the month.
That's
so,
amazing.
and we're trying to make, you know, big money for them. So, and that's cool. But this coming up year with Cars and Country, we're actually going to donate to Ronald McDonald House as well. I've got a lot of big sponsors that have always been on our run, and now they're on the board at Ronald McDonald House. They're on the board at Driscoll Children's Hospital. And you kind of learn what people's interests are and where you can make a difference. So Ronald McDonald House has become kind of back on our radar again, and we kind of know, hey, we can help these guys out. Like their last one donated 3 wraps at their auction.
Nice.
And I want to say the guy donated 15 or 20 grand, you know,
That's
for me to wrap all of Ronald McDonald House stuff. So it's very interesting the way it went down. So it's always cool to give to other charities that need it as well.
Well, bro, congrats and continued success. This is Gino's table. I feel like everybody brings a lot to the table. You obviously bring a lot if you can. Let's grab something.
Yeah.
Here you go. I've noticed now, I gotta take the red out. The red doesn't work anymore, but the green works.
Yeah.
John, thank you for coming in. I'll
Appreciate
have all the
you.
links available for all the different runs that are going on. This is going to come out in just a week or two.
Yeah.
And so it'll be just perfect timing for the weekend. It'll be
Heck
really,
yeah.
really fun. Thank you for inviting me.
And we appreciate you too. You know, I think it's great. You show up to my house all the time with little gifts and
Hey, man.
And
you know what it is? And the common theme this year so far, everybody I've talked to, they've been somewhat of a business owner, or they've given back in some different way to community. To be a small business in our community, you have to be part of the community, and you have to constantly remember who is helping you out. And you've helped us out so much over the years, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate you. And people don't understand how hard it is to have a small business, and they don't teach you that you work 24/7, so you don't have to work a 9 to 5.
You live it. Yeah. You're exactly right.
So,
Thank you, bro.
thank you.
This is mine. Where are you gonna put it? Yep. Find a